Hey guys, Shane with Dazzy Integrations again, and in this episode of Give It To Me Straight, we're going to continue to dive into the subject of the Internet of Things. So in our previous episodes, we talked about how manufacturing is taking advantage of the Internet of Things to drive efficiencies on their shop floors. We talked about how the retail environment can take advantage of the Internet of Things to map out their customer flow and to do some proactive product and sale notifications. But what about the medical field? What if you're a small clinic or a hospital or a dental clinic? How can you take advantage of the Internet of Things and technology to really drive some real world results? Honestly, this sector has the most potential out of any of them, in our opinion. So much so that there's actually a subcategory of the Internet of Things called the Internet of Medical Things. So, how can your practice take advantage of it? Well, first, we probably ought to step back and look at what are the biggest constraints in the operations. So if you ask most patients, they'll tell you their biggest frustration is the amount of time that they spend from coming into the waiting room to the time to see a doctor to the time that they're released. So how do you speed that up? Well, when you go in to see a doctor, they're always going to take your vital signs. You're going to have to get your blood pressure, your temperature, your weight, and all of those devices manually spit out that information that have to be hand keyed into the patient health records. Well, with the Internet of Things, you can enable those devices to automatically update and enter that information. So when you put on the blood pressure cuff and it gets done reading that, it can actually push that information over the network directly into the patient health record. So that eliminates a step of someone manually entering that, thus speeding up the process. Big improvements there that can be taken with just some simple network connected devices. What can you do beyond that? So with telemedicine, it enables smaller clinics in remote areas to have specialists available without having them full-time on staff. You use the same type of technologies, the network-enabled devices to read information, feed it into the health records, but then also add in the component of a video conference. So a specialist that could be in a metro area could service many rural areas that they could not afford to have a specialist on staff, all by utilizing the network. The biggest area that is probably going to see some enhancements when it comes to the Internet of Things for the medical field is in the sensors, so the wearable technology. So instead of having to have patients come in for continual monitoring, they can actually take the sensors home and wear them home. Then that gets fed into the network and updated remotely. So those type of technologies are going to come to every aspect of the medical field. What can you do as a small clinic or a hospital today to take advantage of it, to easily start implementing it? Probably some of the biggest and easiest ways you can do that is by implementing, some wireless technologies today. Enable your patients to fill out their records on an iPad that gets updated into the health records software that you're using. How many times do you go into a medical clinic that you fill out 15 forms of paper that all ask the same information? If you could automate that by putting that into a tablet application that the user fills out one time and electronically submits, that's a huge potential and very little expense to get you there. So tremendous amount of potential when it comes to the Internet of Things in the medical field. So tune in next time and we'll continue our discussion of how the Internet of Things is impacting business today.